This is Karis Alexander with Deep Truth Media. I wanted to cover two areas, how our normality is structured, and I wanted to answer a question that an individual had posted in the comments on what is alchemy, or what is the alchemical process that I'm speaking of in my last podcast that helped me to dissolve the fear, basically. So I'm going to talk about spiritual alchemy and how that relates to the process of our unfoldment or your unfoldment. Again, this is just simply a sharing. And another thing is I want to emphasize that I'm not going away. It's just that I'm not doing as many podcasts where I'm recording the enslavement or our enslavement in terms of the events that are unfolding on the physical world stage. I don't want to become a recorder of our enslavement, but what I do want to do is to highlight or connect some of the dots and some of the major events that unfold and really show you how your reality or our reality is being well scripted, well choreographed by the power control force, those that presume to run this world. The energies this past weekend were quite astounding. I was caught off guard in that I was able to traverse or move into another altered state of consciousness that I was not aware that even existed. I don't know if you know, but most of you may not know that I made a transition from the mind into the heart about 4 years ago, this month, actually, May. So it's interesting how this new plane of existence that I've awakened to is happening at this particular time, 4 years after I moved into the heart space, which for me is just a metaphor. It's a portal, a gateway into the higher realms. And where I moved to was what I would call a plane of absolute, of absolute stillness, which is beyond time and space, continuum that we exist in on this plane. The universe, basically, that we live in is simply information that can be read and altered. It's all simply data. And from this plane, our physical life, hologram, or the existence that we experience in this physical world is simply information. The eternal being that is you interfaces with your physical reality, and you can access this plane of absolute that is the all, the creator, the source, through the physical heart. That's the portal, that's the gateway that will allow you to access your higher self. I talk a lot about this in radio shows that I've done, many radio shows that I've done through Blog Talk Radio. I'll post a link here. I have over 2 years worth of shows that I've done through Blog Talk that you could peruse and go through and sort of get a sense of what I'm about. And really, I shared a lot. I've done a number of interviews with other authors on various obscure, fringe topics. But I've also done a lot of sharing on my own perspective of the transformation and shift that I've gone through personally, my personal transformation and shift. And that's what I share here. And in the sharing allows me to become grounded and make sense of what it is that I'm experiencing, because it's unique to me and to you. And we all have our unique way of expressing ourselves. And so the energies that I've been feeling this past weekend was just this, from a plane of very creative place. I started feeling these energies in January. I had glimpses of it, and this weekend I had a very profound anchoring into the energies, and this plane of existence brings order to chaos in this world of this plane of co-creation. This is where we can visualize, and the law of attraction and synchronicity works. It works on this plane, and it's possible for us to connect to this plane directly. I have this experience, and I'm just learning how to anchor and to solidify my frequency so that I can explore and experience more in this realm and this flow of co-creation that is accessible to all of us. This is what this journey is really all about, and that we are to become co-creators of the world in which we want, and that is creating the utopia that we want to live within, exist within, creating heaven on earth. And so our physical reality appears in this plane of creation first. And so, for example, when new ideas pop into your mind about what you want to do or what you want, you connect to these energies that already exist in this plane. And it is in this plane in which you create. And so it's a magical utopia. It's really, really neat. It's very colorful for me. I'm really having a very interesting time. And it's so palpable and powerful. It's just incredible. And so when we talked about normal, now I'm going to talk about how our normality is structured. This narrow band of frequency that we exist in from my last podcast of normal, this plane of creation that I'm talking about, and even the plane of absolute, is just, they're just astounding realms that we can access. And so who wants to just be in normal? Who wants to just settle for normality, this manufactured reality that's being spoon-fed to us? And so this is the kind of stuff that the power control force, those who presume one in the world, don't want you to know about. They don't want you to be accessing these higher realms of your existence, to take back your authority, to take back your power. So this is when it gets really, 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 really interesting. And this is what it's all about. What we are experiencing on the physical world stage, we know this. We've done this. Now's the opportunity to be here and to have a different experience. One of your own making, one of your own choosing. So I wanted to just bring up a couple of points here, in that what we are moving into from the manufactured reality perspective is civil unrest, civil disorder, widespread violence, which is basically being manufactured. And those who are caught up in normality, that single narrow band broadcast in 3D, are going to be caught up in this civil unrest and this civil disorder and widespread violence. Now, I came into knowledge or gnosis of this information when I started studying the alternative media and the truth movement back in 2007. And so I'm not here to create a sense of fearfulness. What I'm here to do is to encourage you to prepare yourself, because I have taken the necessary steps. I have done the internal work, and I continue to do the internal work, which is so critical, which I'll talk about when I talk about spiritual alchemy. And I've taken the necessary steps to move myself into an area where it's safer for me. I used to live on the coast, on the Pacific Rim, or the Ring of Fire. And I've moved myself away from the coast because there are certain things that I learned that I'm not going to share it in this audio. But when you know what you know, when you know what I know, you just, when you are awake to certain things, you either, you can ignore it or you can take action. And so I took action, and I live in a very much safer area, and I also live off grid. And a lot of people around me here and my friends will look at me and and be in judgment around that. And that's okay, because they don't understand what's coming and why you would even do what I'm doing. But there are specific reasons why I've done what I've done. Because like I said, when you know what I know, you take action. And so I'm just a manifestation of someone who is taking action based on what I know. And I'm taking back my authority and my sovereignty. And I'm not allowing this system to run my life and to rule my life. And my hope is that you will do the same, that through my actions and through my sharing, that you will be inspired to do the same. It's not easy to walk one's own path and to live one's authentic self and purpose. You will be ostracized. You will be judged by people who are ignorant and willful and will acquiesce because they are so ingrained in their programming to believe in normal. They are duped. Don't allow yourself to be duped. So yes, civil unrest, civil disorder, widespread violence was manufactured and is coming down the pipeline, especially for those in North America and in Europe. It's already happening. And so I'm not here to, again, to create a sense of fear, but I am here to make you aware and let you know of the reality that we are faced with. I mean, that's just common sense. Okay? So it's an inside job. It's an inside job. Source has provided you with everything you need to survive and thrive through this transition, if you so choose. Don't settle for the reality that is being spoon-fed to you. Don't allow yourself to be duped. No one has a right to control your existence. No one is superior to you. No one. You must become your own authority. Stop playing small in the hopes that it'll all work out somehow. It won't. Why? The game requires you to actively participate. And you can only actively participate in this game on an equal playing field is when you know the truth of who you are. Not this manufactured sense of wakefulness. A lot of people say, oh, I'm awake. Awake to what? If you're awake to what's happening on this physical world stage, that is a certain level of wakefulness, but it doesn't mean that that's all there is. It's manufactured. Your sense of wakefulness and learning the truth about the system in which we live in is a manufactured wakefulness. The power control force know that as part of your ascension or unfoldment that you would wake up to the system in which you live in. They know that. And so they manufacture that. And that's what we have as the alternative media and the truth movement. And so don't fall into that trap of saying, oh, I'm awake because I've learned some stuff and I know what's a little bit about what's going on. And, you know, some of the things that are happening, I had an idea that was what was really going on. It's all manufactured. The power control force wants you to become awake. They want you to know certain things, but they want to steerhead that awakening, that shift within you. Yes, this is Twilight language. So yes, you're in bed. There's a program for waking up. Yes, the power control force has designed a program so that you do wake up, but it's the manufactured waking up, and that's what you are existing or experiencing. It is to shift your perspective to change the world that they are wanting to usher you into. So, you know, there are a lot of people out there who are sharing their stories of how they're helping people by living as an example, by being able to see what is controlling their lives, you know, this unseen force that's controlling our lives. and how we are wanting to shift from that control mechanism. And all you basically are doing, or the power control force is doing, is waking you up from one dream and ushering you into a new dream. And this is very real, and it's quite comical. I know it's not for a lot of people. A lot of people are really having a really challenging time right now. But when you get to where I am, and I'm not saying that I'm, superior to anyone. It's just that when you understand the system and the game that's being played, you just learn how to play it. And you learn how to play it to win. So this alternative movement is basically a fear-based mind control movement. It is. The alternative movement has been implemented or put in by the power control force, and I've talked about this before, and it's a fear-based mind control movement. But this is what I'm really trying to emphasize here is that your awakening in terms of what's going on in the system is manufactured. However, there is a natural organic process that you do undergo when you embrace your own unfoldment, which is what I did. And 2007, for 2 years I grieved. For 2 years I grieved, learning about the system in which I lived in. I was just in utter shock and dismay. And I was 9 years into my spiritual journey. And I was just doing my spiritual journey. And then I started happening onto this information. And so the fear, the paralysis, the overwhelm that I know a lot of you are experiencing is what I felt. But I was able to continue my spiritual journey and transition out of that state of fear and paralysis and reduce the amount of fear, which is what I'm going to talk about in terms of spiritual alchemy, so that I am no longer subjected to the whims of the system. I understand what's going on at a much deeper level. I'm able to stay detached, and I'm able to share at this level in which I share. And I know for some of you it may be hard to hear what it is that I'm sharing. It may be hitting on some of your own wounding, and it may be pissing you off on some levels, and sometimes you may even turn me off. But just know that that's because the frequency in which I'm sharing at is much higher than where most people can handle. Even some of the stuff that I share, it's hard for me to even stay grounded and handle. So I know if it's hard for me to share sometimes, but it does ground me even more when I do share. But I know it's hard. It's not easy to be free of the system, to be free of your own programming. The programming is intense. So let's look at how the system we live in is structured. It is a part of the ascension process. It is a natural part that you go through where you would want to learn about the system in which you grew up in. And this part of the awakening process, however, has been manufactured by the alternative media and the truth movements. Again, it's designed to feed a narrow broadcast of truth, but keeping you at a low frequency of fear. Paralyzed, uncertain, overwhelmed. These are all the feelings I had when I started to research this in 2007. So the single narrow broadcast, which is being manufactured, this broadcast of governments, is a low frequency. And so the power control force, those that presume to run this world, they're making your normal. They are making your reality. And so if we look at the system we are born into and into the big agenda, it's an ongoing agenda. Every generation goes through it and is run by the richest people of the planet. That's what I call the power control force. Power control force is basically the photon energy. It's just an energetic, right? It's a parasite. And that's why I call it the power control force. It's a parasite. It's based on the photon energy, the patriarchal, male-dominated energy force. And it's made up of top bankers who basically set up tax-free foundations under philanthropic organizations such as the Royal Institute of International Affairs or Internal Affairs. That's the biggest one on the planet. And then the richest people in the world set up their clubs. They set up a bunch of clubs, private bankers set up top corporations to run what they call a parallel government. So there is a government that runs parallel to the government the governments within each of our countries that we see, the front. And the people that are put in those positions, like President Obama, are put in those positions by the parallel government, the government that's unseen, that's behind the scenes. And so these institutions that are run by the richest people in the world, they basically put their own members in the top positions in government. We don't elect these people, as we presume to think that we do. So government is just one in which they use, one vehicle or one avenue in which they use to standardize our behavior through economics and create our reality, to ensure that we follow the rules of their governance. Belief systems, experts, those in our belief systems, all the belief systems that we adhere to, we buy into, are given to us by experts, those in authority. You know, those who have PhDs, those who are esteemed scientists and, you know, really, really, really smart people that put out all these studies and scientific studies. It's all, again, by design to keep you in your self-imposed prisons. Because if you believe all these things that these people in who you presume to be in authority are telling you, then you become a prisoner within your own system. You adhere to authority outside yourself, and you are the only authority. This system in no way is designed to support your awakening. It is designed to keep you asleep, thinking you are awake. Okay? So be careful about saying, I'm awake. In terms of the context of what I'm sharing here, if you are awake, then you know the eternal being that you are. That's in the context of the sharing here. In terms of what I define as being awake, when you know the truth of who you are as an eternal being, then I consider you awake. And but then that's just my perspective. The power control force set up the idea of taking over the planet and making it global, along with free trade agreements that would merge countries together. The Council of Foreign Relations in America owns all the media. They shape our minds for us. They give us our realities, what to think about and what to argue about. They have lots of think tanks working on every societal problem that has to be mended, altered, or changed to work for the new global society that they're bringing, the new world order. That includes behavior and culture modification. Everything in the world today, as we know it, is controlled by small groups, all working together through huge foundations. Lots of money is put into this, lots of think tanks, and they are literally going through this whole world agenda, including the breakdowns in society, in order to bring us into planned austerity, a post-consumer society. And every step they use, they are using the art of chronology, which is the art of controlling masses of people through various techniques. It is a very ancient art, chronology. Today it is incredibly specialized in terms of the material that is produced by world managers, those who are brought in to manage the world. Yes, your world is managed. There are individuals who hold high positions who manage the world and your reality. Yes, Twilight language. Now this system is scientifically designed system, spearheaded by the big foundations. They've gotten together over 100 of years ago, and started implementing this transition phase that we're in right now in the 21st century, where all the old ideas of the ultimate liberty that we have experienced for the past few generations will be destroyed, and we will be ushered into a planned society, a class system through the backdrop of science, which will eventually they will phase out because of genetic engineering. And everything is to become standardized. Why? Because when everything is standardized, the power control force feel that they'll be able to control the masses much better. So we're moving to a society which is more standardized, and yet the unfoldment, the evolution of consciousness is that we are come to know and express our uniqueness. So hopefully you can sort of connect some dots here and understand why is the world changing into the way that it is changing. It's because the existing world that we live in will not be able to control the masses at the level in which it needs to be controlled in order for this system to sustain itself. If we just look at basic education, it is chronology. They want a uniform society, all politically correct, all standardized, and one dissenting voice on any topic. It is simply, if there's any one dissenting voice on any topic, they will consider that individual or to be ostracized, out of the group, or out of the standardization. So people like myself who are on the fringe eventually will become targets. So just keep that in mind, because I don't follow the standard protocol, because I think for myself and I think outside the box. I'm on the fringe. I don't comply with the system. They don't want people like myself. They don't want you to become autonomous and sovereign, to know the truth of who you are. Because if you do, then you will what? You will not be engaging in the system at the level in which they need you to engage in order to keep the system operating and functioning, so that they can continue this dark, sinister program that they're trying to enslave you in. Okay, so then waking up again is shifting your perspectives to change the world. Shifting your perspective to change the world. And again, that is an inside job. It's coming to know the truth of who you are. So let's look at alchemy. Alchemy is a very broad topic. And I talk about the alchemical process that one goes through when one wakes up to the truth of the situation in which we find ourselves in. It will keep you in a state of fear and paralysis and overwhelm. And many people will never move beyond that. But I have been able to move beyond that. And that is the option. You can move beyond fear, paralysis, and overwhelm when it comes to waking up to the truth of the situation in which we find ourselves in. I have a lot of people who friend me on Facebook, and a lot of them are women who are able to see the physical world at a certain level, and really want to bring voice to what it is that they are experiencing on the physical world stage, but find it very challenging. Let me tell you, when I first heard or learned about a lot of the things that I learned about in terms of the physical world in which we live in, I couldn't give voice to a lot of what I'm sharing right now. I had to do some major internal work and become grounded in this gnosis, in this knowledge, so that I could be the instrument and share at a level from a much more grounded, non-fear-based, love-based position. And it's not easy. So there is an alchemical process that one goes through, and it's hormonal. And I'm going to talk about the alchemy. So alchemy is a very broad topic, like architecture. It means a lot of things and can be done in many different ways. Alchemy is often seen as transmuting base metals into gold, which is only one of the very advanced paths of alchemy. It's more about mastery over self and mastery over your energies, or over energies, period. For centuries, alchemists have sought to change base metals into gold, but the transmutation of metals is like lead into gold is symbolic of higher and more noble alchemy, which is the alchemy of transformation. And that's really what I want to focus on here. So the art of alchemy that I want to focus on includes transmuting negative energies into positive. Includes clairvoyance, healing, and distance healing, which is a lot of the work that I do with people, and the transmutation of self and self-actualization. This is the process that we're undertaking. This is the only reason to be on this physical world stage, is to embrace your own unfoldment and the ascension process. If you want to call it unfoldment, ascension, self-actualization, whatever. These are just words as metaphors to support you. But it also could be for some reaching enlightenment. That is, again, self-actualization. Keeping the body healthy and slow the aging process. That's a part of the alchemy. Studying the principles of energy. Studying and coming into the inner gnosis of wisdom within you of the principles of energy and how to use and manipulate energy for your own benefit and the benefit of humanity, and for the benefit of becoming co-creators in the world in which you want. Self-transformation was the goal of most spiritual alchemists. They sought a way to change the lead of the negative human energy into the gold of divine energy, of love. And some of them achieved this by using chi energy, or ki energy, or chi or kundalini energy. So let's explore what this kundalini or chi prana energy is. It's a unique spiritual energy that can accelerate your spiritual development. I know you've all that are listening to this audio have heard of the kundalini experience. And you may have had the experience yourself or continue to have the experiences. And so it's through this kundalini experience that can heal emotional and physical problems, improve your relationships, help you to grow spiritually, or just make life easier, right? I mean, that's ultimately what we want, is to make our life much easier through this transformation and change and shift that we are going through. And so this kundalini energy, this chi energy, comes from the base of your spine all the way up, and it can transmute all the negative energies within your body and bring your energies into balance. Because we are loaded with toxic energy, that is low vibration negative energies, because of the fact that we just simply exist within this physical plane. There is so much coming at us from so many different directions to keep us in this low vibration by design. That's what the system is designed to do. And so the transmutation comes when you embrace and engage your own unfoldment and do what I call the emotional body work. That is clearing out all these emotions, these toxic emotions, these traumas that continue to run your life, right? So that you are no longer triggered by these traumas. They no longer shape and mold your life. You're not reacting to life, you are responding to life. That's what we want. So when we speak of spiritual alchemy, this is what we're talking about. Transmutation. The transmutation that can change your life and alter your reality so that you come to know the truth of who you are. Yes. So this chi or prana changes negative energy into positive energy, darkness into light, fate into opportunity. This energy erases the bad karma or mistakes. This is why it is important to do the emotional body work, to clear toxic energy, reduce the charge of unresolved traumas that impact your life, your daily life experiences. And so on the physical level, the Kundalini alchemical process can help you heal your body by removing toxic energy, low vibration energy that makes us vulnerable to illness and disease, emotional outbursts, erratic behaviors. It also flushes out the body and aura, the energy field that surrounds your physical body, healing and cleansing anything from physical viruses to toxins or pollutions. But the real cause of disease is often rooted in our mental, emotional, and spiritual state, which is a result of our programming, our belief systems, and our own personal narrative or stories upon which we base our whole life on in this physical dimension. This is the stuff that must be cleaned up. You must eradicate. That's a radical statement, but you must eradicate your programming, your belief systems. Yes. This is not for the faint of heart. This is not work for the faint of heart. You must become a spiritual warrior, a warrior on your path. Spiritual alchemy, the Kundalini experience, can help heal the cause of many psychological problems, emotionally distressing experiences, which can go back to early childhood and even past lifetimes. The scars of our old hurts and painful memories may be healed and dissolved when you do the emotional body work. By doing the emotional body work, it changes your vibration. In physics, vibration is the speed of oscillation, the speed at which something moves back and forth. On the atomic level, vibration can be understood to be the speed at which emotions orbit around the nucleus of the atom. The emotional body works by changing vibrations on this level. We are in fact reducing the amount of toxins, fear, low frequency, allowing us to move into a higher frequency band or your home frequency. We each have our own home frequency. And I'll put a link to a radio show that I did with Penny, I can't remember her last name, an audio that I did on frequency. Penny Pierce, yes, Penny Pierce. It's a 60-minute audio I did with Penny Pierce on her book called Frequency. And that's a very interesting audio you may want to listen to. So atoms are mostly empty space. The empty space between the nucleus and the electrons is where negative energy and traumas can become stuck. When the atoms in our bodies and auras become charged with this negativity, the electrons whirl slower and slower, and we begin to resonate more with negativity and less with positive frequencies. That's the state in which we're living in on this physical world plane. 90% of what we experience in the physical world is negativity. Then, therefore, when we have a lower vibration, we become less spiritual, like zombies, gate, devoid of spirit. That's why they have all this stuff coming out about the zombie apocalypse and this World War Z movie that I talked about in my last podcast that Brad Pitt is going to be appearing in, that opens June 21st, 2013, summer solstice. Yes, talks about zombies and flesh eating, because they don't want you to attain your spiritual alchemy. They want to become gate and devoid of spirit, so that you can be manipulated and controlled and programmed and used up like a battery, devoid of spirit. So the emotional body work transmutes the negative energy. This is the work that I'm talking about. This is the work that I do with individuals. at a distance and in person. And so it does not simply surround and remove the emotional body work transmutes this negative energy. It does not simply surround and remove the energy, but transforms it into higher frequency. Because there is less density within the atom, the electrons will faster and faster, thereby raising your vibration. Yes, very powerful stuff. Who would not want to engage on this level in this physical world and be able to experience something far more grander, far more different than normal? This low band frequency of normal, which can very well be and continue to be the level in which you want to exist in. You just may decide that listening to these audios and not doing the internal work is just enough. It's enough for you at this point. And so not taking the next step